All right, ready, go.
So growing up, I didn't grow up in the church or anything, or even around people who grew up in church. So there's a little disconnect between what I thought about God and what the Bible and what Jesus is all about. Now, before I tell you what I thought Christians were, let me just warn you, Jermaine, Marcus, that it's really silly and can be a little bit offensive, but I just want to tell you how, as an honest opinion, I didn't have it to be mean. It was just, oh, this is what Christians are. I'm glad I'm not one of them. See, the thing is, I thought Christians, to be a Christian, you had to be a white family with really extremely strict parents. And I was just like, man, I'm glad I'm not one of those families. And I'm glad I'm not Christian because, I mean, that's okay. I'll be nice to them, but just that sucks. So we all have ideas of what Christianity is. And instead of talking about the million things it isn't, I think it's important to focus on what it does include. On the History Channel one time, or Discovery Channel, I was watching something on like U.S. currency and stuff, super exciting, and they talked about people that study or people like experts on currency. They study different ones and they study counterfeits. But to understand what a true bill is, they study the right one. They don't study the millions of different ones or the countless wrong ones. They study the original true thing. So to talk about that, I want to walk you through how I started to understand what it really meant to be Christian, rather than my silly old belief. So I started going to these FCA meetings in high school, which, if you don't know what they are, it's a fellowship of Christian athletes. It's aimed at like bringing athletes and coaches together and just following Jesus together and bringing in new people to follow Jesus too. And I met these guys, super cool. I met genuine people who brought me in, and I just went to the FCA meetings at their house because they're fun, and I wanted to hang out with them more. And over time, after a few weeks, I started to realize that they had something I didn't, because I've struggled a lot with anxiety and just issues and stuff to where I was pretty miserable for most of my life and still struggle with it. But I saw these people are just consistently at peace and like full of joy. So I was like, I really don't understand what they have. And I started to question and want it. So I prayed with one of the leaders. I told him when they started crying, I was like, I don't know what they have, but I want it. Like, I don't understand God. I don't understand what it means to be Christian, but I want it. And I think this, not that I'm an example, this just happened one time and I still struggle with being a true Christian, but I think this is a small picture of what it means. We don't understand everything, but we want it, so you just go for it. Luckily for us, there's a story written down about a guy who lived through this. He was the real deal about this. In Mark 10, there's a story about a blind guy who meets Jesus and follows him with everything he's got. It starts in verse 46 and goes to 52. And they came to Jericho, and as he was leaving Jericho, this is talking about Jesus, with his disciples and a great crowd, Bartimaeus, a blind beggar, the son of Timaeus, was sitting by the roadside. And when he heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth, he began to cry out and say, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. And many rebuked him, the other people following Jesus, and told him to be silent. But he cried out all the more, Son of David, have mercy on me. And Jesus stopped and said, call him. And they called the blind man, saying to him, take heart, get up, he is calling you. And throwing off his cloak, he sprang up and came to Jesus. And Jesus said to him, what do you want me to do for you? And the blind man said to him, Rabbi, let me recover my sight. And Jesus said to him, go your way, your faith has made you well. Immediately he recovered his sight and followed him on the way. In a very simple way, the blind man got it. Immediately he recovered his sight and followed Jesus. Now think about what it would be like to see for the first time. Just imagine everything being black for years, trying to imagine, maybe, I don't even know if you try to imagine, but hearing everything, hearing people's voices, hearing people argue, hearing people laugh, and wanting to see it, and then you finally do. And this guy doesn't take a bunch of time to go see things and just and enjoy everything. He's just drawn to Jesus. All of his sight, in a way, is used to follow him. I want to give you another real life story of what it's like, the difference between being all in or not. See, if you hear me talk, I talk all about my job, and you probably get tired of it, but suck it up. Some crazy stuff happens, so it's fun to talk about. See, when I started, and I was very hesitant to be all in at my job. Like, kids in my place can get violent, so we're trained to take them down in a way that doesn't hurt them and hold them down until they're ready to be safe, at least. And I remember the first time I was faced with this, it's called containment, containing a kid. I remember the first time I was faced with this situation. See, this kid was about this tall, probably like bigger biceps and bigger arms than me, like just a big 17-year-old. And he just is out of his mind for whatever reason. And he grabbed our TV and threw it down, was like banging on the windows. And I'm just like wide-eyed, like training does not get you ready for it, in a way. Like, nah, it doesn't at all. So I was just watching, I was like frozen, a little bit scared, but mostly just like, I'm not used to this. And so I'm trying to go through all the textbook things of what to do. They tell you to like dodge and evade, like, oh, I don't want to fight, I don't want any problems, which never works ever. Don't ever do that. I tried that. He just approached me out of nowhere. I walked in the room to see how the other staff would handle it, because I was kind of farther away. And I walk in, and he's like, I won't say the words because they're kind of offensive, but he's like, what the do you want? And I was like, dang, dude, what do you... Not me. I was like, no, I'm supposed to be in the back. I'm in the background. So he starts walking up to me. I'm like, okay, textbook. Oh, I don't want any problems. Stay away. I don't want this to happen or whatever, trying to be nice. So he punches me in the face, which was interesting. And then so I don't remember what happened, but we didn't actually take him down right there, which we were totally supposed to. And later, he ends up punching a female staff in the face, like pretty hard. It's a big kid, and he has big arms. Breaking bro code by talking about complimenting a man, but especially his body. And so he's just going all out. He doesn't care. He punched me, which wasn't very hard, but he connected with the female staff, and I was like, oh my gosh. I started going in there. I didn't know what to do, but I just went in there. And then our older staff take him down, and then I finally get on and just hold him. I was like, oh, okay, I can do this. But like being hesitant got me punched. They got a female staff punch. It's just like the chaos kept going on and on. I was just like, And to give you a story about what it's more in that situation, what it looks like to be all in, it's actually yesterday. I changed my notes all up because sometimes you just got to remix, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What was I saying? Last night at work, this kid, I was hanging out with like 4 kids in the living room, just joking around, chilling, nothing really going on, just hanging out talking. And he comes in, he's just like, what the F, one of you wants to get it next? And I'm just like, looking around, nothing's going on. So I try to like not feed into it because that'll build it up more for this kid. And I was just like, and eventually started threatening the kids next to me. I was like, hey, like I know you're mad, but stop threatening people. It's not okay. And he's like, I know, man. I'm just one of these kids is gonna get it. They're all gonna get it. I was just like, what are you doing? And then so he comes in the room and is still threatening people. And then I walk out to get something, which I probably shouldn't do. I'm a little bit too relaxed at times. And he punches one of the other kids in the balls, and so I hear this, ah! So I walk back, much like Rondo is walking back in right now. Sorry. And I walk back, and he's on the floor, and I know it's him because he's violent. And then we talked to him. It's like, okay, it's time to go to your room. I'm very nice. This is like most staff would be more intense and like, you're going down, or go to your room right now. I was like, all right, man, you gotta go to your room now. Like, you can't be doing that. And he's like, no, man, I'm not going anywhere. All these mother effers can get it. I was just like, no, you gotta go to your room for a little bit so you can chill out. I'll go with you. Don't. This, like, we're giving you extra chances, so please take him. And then he knows me a little bit more, so he doesn't attack me, but he punches the other staff that was right next to him. So we immediately go in. We're like, all right, yeah, that's not okay. And we put him on the wall. And I got bite marks. He's biting me right there. That was a good one. Doesn't hurt, but. And then I was like, dude, we've been through this. I'm holding him up on the wall like this. And he's like this, with the other guys on this side. And I'm talking to him like, look at me, like it's me. Just relax, like we've been through this 100 times. Because I have with him, and he always calms down and we always figure it out. I'm like, just, it's me, relax. And he just goes, and spits all over my face. And I was like, that was gross. And so I was like, weird. In my head, I was like, oh, I'm not mad, that's weird. I should probably get therapy. I'm just used to it. I used to get really pissed over that stuff. I was like, that was really gross. But I just had being all in. I mean, you might get more bumps and bruises, you might get more bite marks and pain, but you just gotta be all in. I don't know. It's a difficult thing to explain. It just goes better when you're all in. I don't know how to explain it more than that. And what's more amazing about my job is it's probably not that interesting. Oh, this big guy holds kids down. It can't be that hard because I'm a big guy. What's more amazing to me is the women that work at my job. They're doing the same thing, being all in with people that are way bigger than them. I'm just like, you go girl, because that has to be like a whole nother mindset you have to have being a girl there. So I give my props to the women that are all in life and in faith. So, being all in. For some people, hearing that it's good to follow Jesus and good to be all in, yeah, we get it. We've heard it many times. I know I have. But let me tell you, it impacts my life when I do that, which is not often enough, but I want it to be so bad. First, it really changes my heart. Randall smells so distracting. And first, it changes my heart. It's a change that's like inside of me. My wants and desires go from being scattered and looking around and jumping on things and to, oh, I want God and that's enough. It changes something inside of me that is even harder to explain. And when my heart's changed, it also looks my actions changing too. I'm quicker to forgive my wife. I'm quicker to say sorry to my wife because I'm the one usually messing up. And stuff like my dad and brother who never call me or talk to me, I'm quicker to call them and be the bigger person and say, hey, like, how's it going? Like, it changes my heart and my actions. To be honest, I don't really understand how it happens, but living urgently and being all in with Jesus in the moment changes your heart and changes your actions. Living all in like Bartimaeus does changes who you are. And as I end, I just want to leave you with one thing. If you're going to follow Jesus, do it urgently and be all in. Just like the blind guy who got his sight healed and followed Jesus with everything he's got. Thank you.